Welcome to this second episode of the podcast. I was really thinking, I really wanted to do a video on how to create your own garden, which I will include it, but there's too many out there. There's already too many out there on the internet. So I decided to go a little bit deeper as to why. Why do you want to create a garden? And most of the time, you're gonna realize that if you don't have a strong why, more likely you're not gonna get things done. So I've noticed in my own persona that if I don't have a deadline, if I don't have a very strong why, most likely I will get it done like the day before, or I would just not do it at all. So that's what I've noticed about myself. I think a lot of people, I've seen that pattern as well in other people, and that's why I wanted to go deeper into this episode into the garden. Now, why do you want to garden? Now we're gonna go really deep. Okay, I can tell you that. We're gonna go really deep. uh, it's really hard. It's really hard. Like, I really want to just concentrate on one thing. I do. I really want to, but the times that we're living, it's impossible. It's impossible to concentrate on just one thing. I've noticed that nowadays everything is related. It's either I'm getting older or just things are not the way they were before. So I can tell you that. So I'm gonna start with the main thing before I lose you. If you're still listening, that's good. All right. So let me get started. So I'm laughing because I never thought I was gonna be doing this. And okay, just by the name of the channel, Homestead Revolution. I don't know if I told you this already, if I shared this with you, but the reason I call the channel Homestead Revolution, it's because a revolution is happening. I've seen more people go from the city to the countryside and start which is what is homesteading. And some people, they're even doing it without moving out of the city. They're still in their apartment, at their homes, and they're doing some type of gardening, some type of husbandry. So it is happening. It is happening. If you haven't noticed, it is happening. So why is it happening? I started doing some research, and I believe the pandemic was one of the main reasons that people started, they were being at home. They're like, what should I do? Blah, blah, blah. So I think that was a main pivot in time, the pandemic, and people started doing some type of homesteading, gardening, things of that nature. That's when we decided that we were gonna move, right? And that's when it was probably, let me see, it was about a year after that we started the whole planning of selling the house and all that. So that's what we did, and it was good. I can tell you that the movement, I really enjoyed being in nature. I really enjoy it. It's been a learning process. It's been a learning curve, but it's been fun. I can tell you that it's been fun. So I don't want to go off topic, okay? I don't want to go off topic. So going back to the research that I was doing, let me tell you about Victory Gardens. This is something that I've been wanting to talk for in a while. If you never heard that word before, do research on it. I'm gonna give you most of the information, but still, I will recommend you do some research into it. Victory Gardens. Let me give you just the short version of it, and then we're gonna go into details. Victory Gardens was something that the government promoted during World War II, so that people will have enough food, just to prevent food shortages. So they promoted for people to garden in any space available. It could be their house, it could be their front yard, the school place, the school garden, schoolyard. It can be the garden place, like the garden. I'm not saying the garden. It can be the places in a church. garden in the church, any green spot that you could find, you could plant a garden there, right? So again, this was for people not to have a food shortage due to the war. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the details of that. If you are listening in podcast format, I will recommend you go and go into YouTube after this, so you could look at the images that I'm gonna be showing you. So if you do some research into victory gardens, you're gonna see this type of images. I'm gonna describe it for the ones that are listening to this. So we have one that says Uncle Sam says garden to cut food cost. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington, as the U.S. Department of Agriculture for a free bulletin on gardening. It's food for thought. Okay, and you'll see a garden in the background, really nice. Then there's another one. There's an older couple, and you can see their house in the background, and you'll see a garden up in the front, which nowadays it's very, very few people do it. I've seen some YouTubers do it, which looks really nice. They have their house, and in front of their house, the front yard, they have a garden. Actually, there's one I was looking at. I can't remember his name, but he got sued by, I think, the city or something like that, and he won the battle at the end of the day. So he's able to plant his garden now. So it's crazy the times that we're living in today. This other image is about a lot of kids, around 20 kids. They're holding vegetables that they have from their garden. You can see a garden in the background, so that one's pretty cool. Then there's another one, like a comic cover, and it says, "Be a superhero, plant a victory garden." And then you have Batman and Robin and Superman in the front. That's really cool. The world's finest comics, and again, it's similar image, and it's got the word victory garden in the back. And then there's another one that says, there's a boy holding a basket full of veggies, and it says, "Raised them myself in my U.S. school garden." So it was heavily promoted by the government. It was promoted, for it to be done in schools, churches. It was a really good concept. Why? Because there was a war, World War II, and there was probably a food shortage. So that's what's happening. Now, let me tell you what I found in some research. This is the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. It says, first promoted during World War I. Okay, I keep saying World War II, but it was World War I. I'm sorry. War gardening, or victory gardens, provided American citizens an opportunity to assist with the war effort. Americans were encouraged to produce their own food, planting vegetable gardens in their backyards, churchyards, city parks, and playgrounds. Food Will Win the War by Herbert Hoover. So Herbert Hoover was appointed by President Woodrow Wilson to head the U.S. Food Administration, was given the power to distribute, export, import, purchase, and store food. Hoover's program, designed to encourage Americans to produce more and consume less, urged people to live simply and place an emphasis of voluntarism. That's a hard word, voluntarism. Due in large part to his efforts, Hoover successfully avoided wartime rationing. The act of decreasing consumption, both of food and of goods, during this time was dubbed Hooverizing. So, because of what Herbert Hoover did, he helped a lot of people by avoiding food rationing, pretty much. So America entered the Second World War, reeling on the heels of the economic hardships of the Great Depression. By 1942, the country instituted the food rationing program. Simultaneously, the government re-established programs to encourage citizens to plant victory gardens. Americans supplemented their rations with produce from their own gardens, while farmers grew the essentials. Victory gardens were widely promoted during 1943 through 1945. However, once the war ended, so did government promotions and American reliance on victory gardens. Okay, so I guess it was promoted during World War One, but then again, as World War Two started and the Great Depression, they kept doing it, and after that, it was forgotten. People stopped doing it. So I think it was really interesting. I never heard of it. I think it was a really cool concept. Now, why am I talking about that? Why am I talking about that right now? Well, I think we're very close to something. I'm just gonna say it. We're very close to World War III. Right there, I said it. You can see. I mean, I can see patterns, and a lot of people have that where they can see patterns. I was able to see a pattern on cryptocurrency way before it exploded. I was able to see patterns on the real estate market. And I'm not saying I'm a genius or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I see patterns a little bit before everyone else does, right? There's people that do it way ahead of me, right? I'm not saying I'm the first one. I'm gonna say I'm like the middle one, right? Like, some people see it first, and then I'll get to see it. So right now I'm starting to see a pattern in the economy overall, where things are getting bad. Usually there's hope, like, oh, you know what? It's just the real estate market, or maybe it's just the economy, the job area where people they don't have a job, or it's just a slight depression, right? But I see something bigger into the horizon. So if you didn't have a why you needed to have a garden, I'm giving it to you right now. Now is the time to start your garden, and this is not for anybody to freak out or panic. Do it. What's the word? What's that word I'm looking for? You gotta feel that urgency. It's not panicking, it's urgency. Okay, so feel the urgency to start preparing your garden. Start learning how to do all those type of things. So I think it's important. I think it's important that you start doing that. So what do I see in the horizon? In the horizon, I see all types of markets just crashing. I mean, honestly, that's what I see. The first thing I noticed it was during the pandemic. I noticed that we live in a very fragile environment, especially if you live in the city. You're living in a very, very fragile environment. What do I mean by fragile? I don't know if you noticed, but everything is linked together. Transportation, markets, like, when I say markets, I mean the supermarket. Everyone's connected. Like, if your neighbor, maybe you don't know your neighbor, maybe you don't talk to him or her, but maybe they are the ones that work at UPS, maybe they're the ones that work at Walmart or Target. If things start happening to people, like if they start losing their jobs, if things don't start working like normally would, the wheels stops rolling. Okay, I don't know how else to explain it. I noticed it a lot of during the pandemic, a lot of the stores were half full, right? There was no food. I mean, you could find the basics, but not always, right? So what do you do during that time? So cities are a very special place to live. I think they're a really nice place to live when everything is working fine. You get more variety of food. You get to go places. You get to go to the new movie theater, or there's a new exhibition at the museum, or there's a concert somewhere. Yeah, that all those things are really nice. But guess what? Oh, the salaries. Yeah, I cannot mention salaries. I mean, I cannot not mention salaries. Salaries are higher, but guess what? Housing is higher as well, especially rent. If you're renting, they're probably gonna be higher nowadays. Owning a house, taxes, here in Texas, taxes went high. Like, we were paying 5,000 a year on taxes for tax property. Some people are paying 10,000 now, so that's crazy numbers, right? Um, so housing is higher now. Whenever there's more people going into the city, crime goes up. Things are not looking as well when the economy is not good. So again, I cannot tell you what to do, but there's more land out there than you might think. So here's the other thing I want to talk about: city design, city living and country living. I always lived in cities. I never imagined myself living in the country. But as things are progressing, as I see what's happening in the horizon, I will say that living in the country is a lot better than living in a city. So, because of the things that I mentioned before, here are some benefits. Don't listen to me, but listen to Google, right? So here are some benefits that Google gave me, and I'm gonna talk about the ones that I've experienced. So, cost of life, it's cheaper, right? Taxes are cheaper for sure. Cleaner air, oh yeah, 100%. Less crime, yes. Better mental health, yes. You get to walk, you get to, interact with animals, with the plants. Closer to nature, yes. Pollution, less pollution. Privacy, I mean, my neighbors are so far away. Okay, there we go. Okay, better mental health, privacy, less stress, yes. 100 times yes. Sense of community, well, I haven't really experienced that yet because I'm pretty much new to the area, but people are nicer, I can tell you that. People are nicer. More space, oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I got more space than I ever did, and not my house necessarily. My house is a small house. I used to live in a bigger house in the city, but now I have more space out. And sometimes you just get tired of being in your house. I mean, it doesn't matter how big your house is. The biggest house that I had was 3,500 square feet, and that's considered above average, right? Just a little bit above average. But I mean, there was a time when you just like, I mean, even though you have this big house, you get tired of being in your house. So now I have more space out. We got like 5 acres, and I mean, I'm able to go walk. I mean, if I don't want to see my wife, I can go all the way to my property, just hiding there. But now that doesn't happen. I'm just kidding. But I mean, you can do that. You can do that, definitely. Access to nature, access to organic food. In our garden, we've been eating more veggies because we have the garden. We've been planting some cucumbers and tomatoes and squashes. I get to see where my food comes from, right? And if anything, I got eggs every day, so I don't have to go to the store every day. I can have breakfast. The chickens give me breakfast every day. I have plants for veggies, so I mean, it's a good life. I can tell you that. Less noise, yes. Except for the frogs and the crickets, if you consider that noise. Less traffic, 100%. The distances are longer, but there's no traffic. You can go 75, which is the speed limit, 75 miles per hour, and there's no traffic. Pace of life, really slow. Everything is slow, nice and quiet. Better professional opportunities, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, now with the internet, you can do many things online. Right now I'm working online, so I don't see that as a problem. It used to be that people, that's why they left to the city, because there were more job opportunities over there, over there. But now that's not the case. So safety, yes. Cheaper and more economic, yes. Greater opportunities for physical. I'm thinking it says physical activities. Yes, I get to walk more. I get to carry more stuff around, and I feel more energetic and stronger. The school, they're smaller. In the school where my kids go, the ratio from teacher to students is smaller. So that's good as well. In the city, they were reaching 20 students per class, per one teacher. And over here it's like 15. I mean, five kids make a difference. I can tell you. I'm a teacher, so I can tell you that. And again, I mean, you gotta weigh the pros and cons. I'm not telling you to move to the country if you don't want to, right? But you gotta think ahead. You gotta think ahead. I've always heard of this phrase, like, life is like a chess game. Some people just think one move ahead, right? Oh, I have a better job, right? I get paid more, but they don't see 5 steps ahead of the game. What happens if they lay me, if they fire me, right? What happens if taxes go up? What if there's the crime increases? So a lot of people do not consider that. What if my neighbor starts, all the people around start losing their jobs? What's going to happen, right? So those are things that you need to consider. And please, I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, please, in the comments, just let me know what you think about this. What are the pros and cons? Have you experienced living in the country? If you don't want to move to the country, why not? Right? So share those things with me. But yeah, I mean, I really wanted to share that and start your victory garden. And if you don't want to do it for food, like, oh, you know what, I don't really want to do it for food, just do it for a better peace of mind. I think it's really good for your mental health, like just taking care of other, like in this case, plants. I think that's really nice. And if you know something about the economic horizon, what you see happening in the near future, let me know as well. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I crazy? All right, guys, I hope you had enjoyed this episode. I try to do it a little bit differently. Sometimes I overthink things, like, oh, this episode I want it to be like this and this and this, but I really want to not come off like too perfect. Like, I want, sometimes you want to do things perfectly, right? And that's not who I am. I'm far away from perfect. I try to pay attention to details, but I'm not that type of person who pays attention to detail. My grammar is not that good, as you can tell. I make a lot of mistakes. So all I want to tell you is that if you haven't tried living in the country, I think you should. It's nice. Even I never lived in a country, I'm enjoying it. And if you have any questions about that, I can also tell you, how many acres I would recommend, what type of animals, all those things. I can also share that as well. So okay, I think I'm rambling already. So thank you guys for watching. I'll upload this episode and start working on the next one. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.